I got assaulted by Joe Gatto.
But here's what he did with his teeth.
I wouldn't assault anyone.
These are straight up allegations of grooming. And in response, Joe said,
I knew I'd make you uncomfortable during this trip.
Joe Gatto. What is good, guys? This is an emergency broadcast on Peablar TV 2. Typically, we have one video a week this year we're doing, but I know it's midweek, we're dropping a video because this past week there have been numerous allegations levied against no other than Joe Gatto. It is with a heavy heart that I'm reporting this news to you guys today because I myself was once a huge Impractical Joker fan, dude. Quite frankly, I loved Joe's role on the show and I attributed him to some of my hardest laughs. However, sometimes the man on the screen is only an image of what they want the world to perceive them as. And behind closed doors, the true monster comes out. Today we're gonna dive right in, leaving no stone unturned, delving deep into the Joe Gatto situation. So I'm your boy Peablar, and without further ado, let's jump right in. Alrighty guys, so assuming that most of you know who Joe is, I'm not gonna go super deep into it, but I'll give you a quick little a quick little crash course, dude. Joe Gatto is a single piece of a comedy group called the Tenderloins, comprised of Murr, Q, and Sal. And all four of these guys just so happen to attend the same religious class at Mensinger Farfel High School in Staten Island during their freshman year. Realizing that they all had interests in improv and comedy, the group decided to join an improv club. And it wasn't until after college, when Murr just so happened to run into Sal, that the group decided to get back together and practice their improv skills. After 6 months of practicing, the Tenderloins would have their first live show in 1999, doing an improv comedy, sketch comedy routine type dealio. At this point, the group was a bit different. Gideon Horowitz and Mike Bocchio were a part of the comedy group. However, Quinn didn't join until 2006 when both Gideon and Mike chose to leave, forming the group that we more commonly know today. In 2008, the group shot their pilot episode in Staten Island and it debuted on True TV in 2011. And the rest is history, guys. We all know and love the show. But what if Joe from the Impractical Jokers had a dark secret? Well, it kind of taints everything, dude. Before we jump into the allegations, I also want to make note that Joe did decide to leave the group back in 2021, if you remember. And it was in order to get off the road and spend more time with his daughter, in his own words. I just want you to make note of that because it is going to be a little bit relevant later on in the story, guys. So to jump into the allegations, on March 20th, 2025, a TikTok user by the name Juicy B would post a chain of TikToks leading up to the ultimate story time style TikTok that would explain everything leading up to the evening that it all went down. The first TikTok shows Juicy B walking in a parking garage, supposedly heading into the Impractical Joker event. The caption states,
Little did she know, the night after meeting her first celebrity, he would change how she viewed all famous people for the rest of her life.
And this theme of celebrities not always being how they appear would persist throughout all of Juicy B's posts. In the second TikTok, she shows a photo of herself with Joe Gatto at some sort of meet and greet, supposedly, with the caption saying,
You guys wanted a story time, this is how it started.
And then the video proceeds to show some DMs between Juicy B and Joe. We're gonna get into those DMs in a second because Juicy posts a more comprehensive story time video that breaks everything down regarding those DMs. Before that, she posts this TikTok showing her, you know, upper thigh area, I'm gonna say, for YouTube terms of service. You could, you decide, look at the image. But she shows this area on her body and it's all bruised, dude, with the caption, probably gonna get taken down, but here's what he did with his teeth. With his teeth? I'm sorry, but what? This part, like, threw me through a loop, bro. Like, what is happening, brother? What a weird turn. Not only does he have this girl putting her on blast for just, like, being a creep in general, but he's leaving bruises on her, and with his teeth of all things. Like, bro, this is a whole nother level of crazy right now. The description on this TikTok states, yes, he did SA me. Yes, he did just get back together with his wife. I'm sorry you guys don't want to hear it, but... Then Juicy B posts a video just straight up saying that she was assaulted by Joe Gatto. This is the one that made the rounds. It got a lot of views.
I got assaulted by Joe Gatto, the Impractical Joker.
Alright, this one's a little bit of a weird development, guys. I'm editing the video right now, and this TikTok in particular is gone. It's been wiped from her account, and it was the most viewed TikTok in the series of TikToks regarding Joe. Now, my best guess is somehow his people got it wiped. Considering all these other TikToks are still up, I don't think that she's the one who deleted it. So somehow it got reported or something and ultimately got taken down. Now, luckily, while I was writing the script, I happened to be watching all of these on my phone, and I wasn't on my phone since. So I was able to screen record the intro, which you saw just a second ago, and just so I knew I wasn't losing my mind, I recorded myself refreshing her account, and sure enough, the video disappeared. So something happened very peculiar. The video pretty much just goes over her disbelief that no one believes her, stating that she's been talking about this for a year, and then again doubling down on the fact that celebrities aren't always how they appear to be. Finally, Juicy B posts a 10-minute long video breaking down everything, starting from how she met Joe to ultimately leading up to where she was facing his hotel room door that evening. I definitely suggest that you guys watch the video. She goes over all the nitty-gritty and the fine details, but to sum things up, Juicy B was at brunch with her sister and mother when they ran into Joe. They took photos with him, and Juicy B's sister was actually the bigger fan between the two of them. Joe asked the two of them if they were planning on going to the comedy show that night, and neither of them knew that it was happening. Juicy B's sister unfortunately had plans and couldn't make it to the show. However, Juicy B wanted to be a part of the show. She wanted to go. She wanted to see what it was about. So, she took out that photo that she had with Joe, she posted it on her Instagram story, and she tagged him, and then she DM'd him asking if she could go to the show. Joe responded, letting her know she'd have a ticket waiting for her at the box office. And just as he said, when Juicy B arrived to the theater, she was escorted to a private row in order to watch the show. She explains how she had a good time and enjoyed the show, and finally wound up doing the meet and greet, where she explained that in that moment, she was so overwhelmed with feelings that she started crying while taking photos. And this is her first experience with a famous person, in her own words, and sometimes it can be a lot for people, bro. Like, it's a lot of emotions. Additionally, this is gonna be a little grain of truth that I'm dropping on you guys, okay? Whether you want to believe it or not, but some famous people do realize that they have more influence and more intrigue or whatever. I don't know, like sometimes famous people just use their status to manipulate people who are lured by them, and that's just the fact of the matter. I've seen YouTubers argue both sides of this argument when it comes to, quote unquote power imbalance between influencers or celebrities and fans. And unfortunately, it is a fact in my mind that some people obviously can't handle the responsibility of fame. I've seen it firsthand, unfortunately, and it's just a sad reality. Juicy B goes on to explain that later that night, she was with her friends drinking, and Joe started texting her after the show. The text took a flirtatious turn before Joe would ultimately turn on vanish mode and give her instructions on how to come over to his hotel. Now, in my mind, this seals the deal, bro. I'm sorry. Joe is 48 years old and he knows what vanish mode is, dude. I am 25 years old. I've literally never used vanish mode in my life. One time I was trying to refresh a DM or something. I went into vanish mode. I was like, oh, what the is this, dude? Vanish mode? He's a creep. Creep alert, dude. One thing led to another, and Juicy B would find herself with Joe in his hotel room, and that's the story, dude. Now, all being said, Juicy B at the time was 19 years old, so technically, she was a consenting adult, even if she was maybe impaired from drinking with her friend that night. But regardless, that doesn't change the fact that after some reflection, the whole situation seemingly rubbed Juicy B the wrong way. Realistically, in my mind, Joe is like, hey, this hot young chick is a mega fan and she's already in my DMs from earlier today, you know what I mean? Let's get her up here. That's the vibe I'm getting from this, you know what I mean? Like, what else was going through his mind? He had her texting her, he invited her over, started texting her again after the fact. Like, he had a plan in mind. Regardless of how you look at it, it just seems a little bit seedy. Like, it just seems creepy, you know what I mean, dude? Come on. After she posted these TikToks, everything blew up, with two of the top TikToks gaining over 20 million views each. And like clockwork, article after article came out. Joe quickly made a really sterile sounding response, stating, I have used poor judgment, and as a result, I have violated the trust of those
people I love the most. Working on myself is an ongoing process, and I am now going to take some time away from the public eye to focus on my energies where I need to. But anyone who knows me at all knows full well that I wouldn't assault anyone.
And with statements like that, I mean, dude, it's your word against hers and screenshots of DMs and photos, okay? And so with that being said, it sounds like Joe is taking yet another hiatus from the public eye, very similar to earlier when I mentioned him leaving the show back in 2021. Because see, Juicy B's incident happened back in 2023, coincidentally the same year that Joe got back together with his wife. Because yes, the two of them have had a rocky relationship over the past 2-3 years, let's say. They broke up back in 2021 when he took that break. I feel like it kind of paints a clearer picture of Joe leaving the show back in 2021 because guess what? There's another accuser that came forward, this time being a former employee of Joe's, with all of her incidents coincidentally leading up to his initial hiatus. This keeps getting crazier and crazier, dude. Like Joe, why did you have to be a creep, dude? Can we not have anybody in this world? Everybody's a creep, bro. Everybody's got accusations. It's ridiculous. So let's jump right into it. The second accuser has remained anonymous, but the claims that are being levied against Joe are far more severe. Firstly, the accuser claims to have met Joe at a live show when she was 15 years old, and she claims communications turned flirtatious once she turned 18. Like, what, dude? Immediately, this is so alarming. Why was Joe communicating with a 15-year-old for 3 years? Obviously, I'm gonna say, like, everything is hypothetical here, but I feel like these claims need to be further investigated because these are straight up allegations of grooming. He would have been communicating with a minor for 3 years until flipping the script. Major creep vibes, dude. Additionally, the accuser started working for Joe after she graduated from college, and this would prove to become a very inappropriate work relationship. She claims that another employee of Joe's warned her about his creepy behavior and how he would become handsy at times, and these warnings would soon become reality, with Joe inappropriately joking and touching the accuser. One instance in particular, the accuser states that she and Joe were on an elevator during a work trip when Joe grabbed her upper thigh. She then moved away from him, and in response, Joe said,
"I knew I'd make you uncomfortable during this trip."
Like, this dude just knows he's a creep, like straight up. Additionally, Joe would have mood swings depending on whether or not the accuser would reject Joe's advances, making her feel extremely uneasy regarding job security. Just in general, this is an insane work environment, or like not even a work environment, just an insane environment, period, dude. But that's pretty much everything, guys. What do you make of this situation? Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch Impractical Jokers the same way again, dude. Like, what the f***? Don't get me wrong, the first story is horrible and it definitely shows that Joe's a creep. However, the second set of accusations framing Joe as a potential groomer just really sickened me to my stomach. But comment down below where your mind is at with the situation. Like Juicy B said, even the quote-unquote good ones will surprise you, and it's just the sad reality of the situation. My heart goes out to these women. Obviously, it was some crazy shit that you guys went through, and I know it probably took a lot for you guys to come forward with this, but it really puts Joe into light as a creep, and hopefully he won't be able to exhibit this behavior anymore. But if you guys enjoyed the video breaking down the situation, I'd really appreciate a like and even a subscribe. I post at least once a week, but you know, randomly. Obviously, this is the second upload this week, like I said earlier. So get into the loop and join the Peablar army. But that's gonna do it, guys. I'm your boy Peablar. It's been real, and until next time, be well and peace.